Hello and welcome to part 4 of the Jeep tutorial set. This is David Ward, and when last I left you, we had just worked on the 7-slot grille. That's the typical, the famous Jeep front grille. So now we'll get in and work on a little bit more of the body of the Jeep. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and tab into edit mode, and let's unhide everything. And tell you what, let me go ahead and get my screencast keys going. There we go. Okay, and what I want to do now is I kind of had an idea after already modeling this that we would use a modifier on it later on to add thickness to the metal there. So right now it's just paper thin. We don't want that. We want it to be about as thick as the fender cover right here is. So since this is all one model, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the thickness of it, and we can add that on later when we add the modifier to it to add the thickness. So I'm just going to select all those vertices and just delete them. So now it's just a flat plane right there, and we can just move it around however we need to. Now, tell you what, let's go ahead and pardon me, let's go ahead and Control L, select all that. I'm going to go ahead and hide it, and I'm going to go ahead and bring the front of the wheel well up to meet the fender up here and where the bumper will go. So if I go to our side view, we can get a little bit better idea. The actual fender looks like it needs to be a little lower, but we'll just kind of wing it here. So I'm just going to go ahead and extrude this out all the way up to the front and make sure I'm just doing it perfectly on the y-axis. And then I'm going to scale it on the y-axis, SY0. So I'm scaling on the y-axis 0%. Go and drag that up until it gets to the edge of that front the fender or the grille there. Let's go to our front view, and let's go ahead and bring that in because it kind of tapers in. We want to get to the front of the grille there where it'll meet and look a little nicer. So there we go. Okay, so we can kind of get an idea what that's going to look like. But come out of edit mode, we can see those fenders on there. Now the modifier I was talking about, it's called a solidify modifier. So I'm going to go ahead and add that on there just so we can see what it's going to look like. You just go to your modifiers tab and go down to solidify, and it adds some thickness to it. So you can zoom in here. If we go to an edge, we can see a little better. We can play with some of the settings here. Let's expand this window out here. Let's collapse these two guys here, or I guess just the one guy, the mirror. And you can change the thickness right here. The default setting is 0.01, but we want it a little thicker than that. So let's pump it up to about 0.025 so we can see a nice little bit of thickness there. So if we want to give it a little bit more, a little better looking topology here, a little flatter shaded surface, we can go and add a subdivision surface. Now, what that does when we do that is it smooths everything. So what we need to do is come in here and add some extra edges there so we get a nice sharp edge on all of our corners. So just go ahead and Control R, just adding a loop in there, and we'll just go ahead and add those on all the edges because it's nice sharp, well not sharp metal, but clean cut metal. So, oops, add one right there. Go ahead and drag that forward. Same thing on the hood. Okay, and then we'll do one across the bottom here, like so. Okay, that front clip looks pretty good. Let's go back to the back end. Go and do the same thing around there, and add a loop here up towards the top, I guess. And then maybe another one down below. We didn't add an extra loop around the edge like we have on the side there, so it's wanting to kind of not behave the way I want. So I'm going to deselect all of these guys, and then I'm going to hit G twice, or you can go Control E and do Edge Slide. It does the same thing if you just hit the G button twice, the move button twice. So we move that down there, slide it along its edges there. So if I go ahead and do the same thing on the rest of the guys around the tire well there. Oops, grabbed one on the back. Okay, no I didn't. There we go. There we go. All right. Just drag that straight down on the Z-axis. So it's basically the same thing as moving it along its edge, but only because they are perfectly lined up. So let's grab these guys and scale those on the Z-axis 0% just so they're nice and flat. And go ahead and just taper it in there. So Okay, so that's looking a little better. Now we need to do the same thing on the fender here. Let's go ahead and unhide that geometry and add a loop right there, and then maybe one back here. And we can just grab this edge because it's already almost on the edge, and we can just slide that GG twice. Just slide that over towards the edge so it's nice and sharp, and then sharpen up that bend right there by adding a loop right there, and then we'll add another one on this side. You can see a little bit of a black space right there, black coloring, and that's because our normals are not the correct direction. If we turn on our normals, if we come over here to our normals display under the mesh display, turn that on, you can see the normals are pointing down on the top part of the fender, and they're pointing the correct way on the top part. Or excuse me, on the back part. So if we just select everything and Control N, it'll recalculate the normals, and we get rid of that black line there. So anytime you see a black line like that, that typically means that your normals are off in that one spot. Okay, now it looks like we got some weirdness over here, so let's, yeah, okay, so looks like our normals are not consistent. They're on the actual part of the body, so let's go ahead and select that front clip there, and we'll go Control N again, and this time we'll say inside. And they should have been pointing the right way, but sometimes they get twisted around for no real strong reason, no apparent reason. So as long as they're pointing the right direction in the end, they'll be fine. So let's go ahead and add another loop here at the bottom corner of the hood. And I thought I added one. Okay, I guess I didn't. I thought I added one there at the top. Let me undo that. Add one. There we go. Slide that on back. Get a nice sharp edge right there. Okay. Now we're looking at some weird stuff here on the front grille. We need to go ahead and turn the shading to smooth so that gets smoothly shaded. Now, we could go through and add a lot more edges around all of these openings and the headlights and everything to get that looking a little cleaner, or we can do it a little bit easier. Come in here to our solid settings and change the crease and the outer and the rim. Now, what this is that it affects the sharpness of the edges along the inner version, which is on this side, the outer version on this side, and then the rim, which is, you know, the edge of the middle. So we'll sharpen that up. We'll see it all the way to 1 and then rim. But that can change some of the good smoothing too, so let's dumb that down just a bit. And tell you what, let's go ahead and add another loop, right, oops, gotta watch where you're going there. Another loop right here across the top of those guys, maybe another one down here. And then tell you what, let's grab that whole bottom edge and just extrude it out just ever so slightly on the Z-axis. There we go. And maybe add another one. Well, I was going to try to add it around the edge there, but I guess it's a little different. So we'll add one around the headlight hole there. Maybe about like so, and then one. Looks like we got a little bit of ugliness right here. Let's add one like so. And then maybe if we add a few in here. No, that didn't change anything. Let's select that whole edge, and we'll kind of do like we did on the bottom. Just extrude it out ever so slightly. Just hit the E button, and then we'll just go ahead and click to lock it in there, and then scale it up just a bit. Scale it on the Z-axis just a bit. And then let's deselect all these ones across the top and around that edge there. And then come in here, straighten those back up right there. Maybe scale them down on the Z-axis again so they're, oops, so they're lined up there. Okay, so that's starting to look all right. Let's go ahead and grab that front piece of that front clip there and go ahead and drag that up a little bit so we're tapering to meet the front grille there. All right, so that part of the body is pretty well situated. This will look a lot better in perspective mode if you're wondering what it looks kind of weird. But okay, so we got the front end in a working angle there, nice working pattern, something. Anyways, let's go ahead and start working on the rear end area. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to our top view. Let's go ahead and add a new plane, and let's turn off our clipping on our mirror right now, real quick. Expand that out, turn it off, so we can move this over past there, and maybe turn it back on. I guess we didn't really have to turn it off in the first place, but if it had been a cube, we would have. But anyway, since it was just a plane, we didn't really need to. So I'm going to just put this, line it up with the what basically the truck bed area there between the rear wheel wells, about like so. Go to our side view, and let's bump that up here. So it's going to come up almost even with the wheel well opening. Go to our top view again. Let's go ahead and back that up all the way until it hits the back. Now, normally, modern Jeeps have a gate here, like a tailgate or a third door or whatever. But if we look at some reference photos, let me open up a new tab here. And we'll just say Willys Jeep rear. Bing. Why is Bing my search engine? It should be Google. I don't know. There we go. Willys Jeep rear. There we go. Maybe that'll look a little better. Go to our image search. And let's see. I think this one here. No, that one has a bed. Well, image search isn't always easy to navigate. Found a really good... There we go, that one. Let's go ahead and view that image. You can see it has a seam right there, but there's no actual opening. This is like a handle that's, bolted onto the corner, bolted on the side and the back, so that means that panel does not move. So, so you can kind of see an idea right here where even though the wheel well is round, it's got a flat top on it, so it's going to be angled. So let's go ahead and minimize that, and let's go ahead and run this down. This will be kind of towards the bottom of the bed area, about like so. Then we'll grab the edge of it. Let's go to our rear view, and let's turn off the Jeep rear for now. Jeep rear, there it is. And we can extrude this up on the Z axis, there we go. And kind of let's go to our side view so we can see how high up we need to go. About right there is fine. And then we'll go and extrude that again over to the side until it meets the wall. Like so. Good to go. Add another loop right there so we have a nice sharp corner on there. There. And then one down here as well. Maybe one around that edge. Okay, so it's starting to look a little bit more solid. Now, again, if we look at our reference, you can see it starts to angle down. So as the actual outer edge rounds around, as it's rounded, the inside edge angles down until it's right behind where the seats will go. So let's go ahead and kind of match the angle of the outer clip, the outer fender piece there. So let's go ahead and tell you what, let's just go ahead and grab this whole front end and just move that back about like so. About right there. Maybe a little further. Then we'll go and extrude it out on the y-axis about to where it needs to kind of stop. And then let's go ahead and drag it down just a bit. Maybe going back. Tell you what, yeah, let's just go ahead and drag that on back like so. Maybe even further back. Get a nice angle. I was going to go ahead and just cut it off there, but we'll just go ahead and start sloping it down there. And we can go ahead and close off that gap there. We'll grab this middle edge here. Go and extrude that. Actually, I'm on the mirror side. Let me come back to the actual correct side. Go and extrude that over to the wall on the x-axis. We can go to our top view so we can get it lined up perfectly with the other one that's there. About like so. Good to go. Okay. And now let's go ahead and add a loop right here so we can match up with the loop on the top edge there. And we can grab these opposite faces there, or opposite edges, and go ahead and just hit F to lock those in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab the rest of the bottom and just go ahead and extrude that forward. And this will go ahead and come all the way up. Extrude that on the y-axis. Go ahead and come all the way up to the firewall area. Maybe about right there. Okay, now we'll kind of match the curve of the front fenders. So we'll be behind them a little bit, but we want to come up here about maybe to there. So, and then we'll go ahead and come up to where we're right under the hood. Go ahead and come up a little higher there. Okay. So a lot of this stuff we're not really going to worry about. We're not going to worry about the engine inside here. We might go ahead and put like a radiator placeholder just so you can't see through there. But we're not going to put all the detail on the drive chain and all that stuff, drivetrain and all that stuff. Make things a little easier. Okay, so we got that extruded out there. Let's go ahead and grab the edges of the floor there. Go back to our top view, and we'll go and extrude those out on the x-axis all the way to the edge right there. And then we can grab the front part here where it comes out of the wall there. And tell you what, let's go ahead and add another loop on our floor right there where it starts to curve in. So that'll give us a nice angle, or nice origin point to angle from. There we go. And just go ahead and drag that all the way in until it goes through the edge there. Okay. Now we need to go ahead and close off this very bottom part right in here. Tell you what, I'm going to get 5 so we're actually in perspective view so we can actually get inside here a little easier. Now you can see I'm trying to zoom and it's not wanting to go very far. I'm zoom, 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 and it's not doing anything. One way we can fix that is to just select one of the vertices in the area we're wanting to zoom to and just hit the period button on your numpad, and it'll zoom right to there, and then you can zoom out a lot faster and easier. Okay, so I'm going to add one more loop around this edge here so I can match up with this top loop there, again, like we did before. Select those opposite edges, hit F to create faces. Okay, so now we have our bed area and kind of the middle hump area. Let's go ahead and add a couple of, well, we'll add just one, and then the mirror modifier is still on. So this is going to be where the kind of the divider between the two seats are. I'm going to add one more in here. Grab the face. Just drag that up. Let's go ahead and grab this as well. Front one there. And this will kind of be the divider where the gear shift and things can go. Okay, and that would also be where the drivetrain, the drive shaft would be if you were going to go ahead and do that. And since we had a new geometry, it's going to be faceted like so. So we'll go ahead and set that to smooth shading. Okay, now we need to go ahead and tell this to have a sharp angle there in our bed area. Let's go to our actual geometry area there. Add that sharp angle just like we did on that front fender. Let's go ahead and add that in like so. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I want to go ahead and add one more loop back here just so that drive shaft hump there is a little bit cleaner. And maybe one down here. There we go. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. What do I want to do next? Let's go ahead and, we're almost out of time, but we got a little bit left. Let's go ahead and add our dashboard. So we'll go ahead and tab back in edit mode, and let's select this loop here, right there, and go to our side view and hit 5 again so we're out of perspective view back into orthographic. Go to our vertex select, and let's deselect all but that very top edge, maybe one more. So we're, you know what, one more. Oops, wrong side. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, Shift D. I'm going to scale it down ever so slightly, just a bit. And then we'll drag it forward some. And let's select everything else, because I want to work exclusively with this. So that might have been too far. Okay, we don't want to come through the edge there. So I'll drag it a little bit there, and I'm going to hide everything else just so I can work with this a little easier. So I'm going to go select, inverse, and then hit the H button. That's going to hide everything. So now I can see what's going to become the dashboard and work with that a lot easier. So what we can do is go to our edge select. Actually, you know, vertex select might be a little easier to see. So I'm going to select all these three here, and let's go to our top view and turn off our blueprint there on the top so we can see a little better what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and extrude this out on the x-axis all the way to the middle right there. And now I can work on filling in this top area a little better. I probably could have, yeah, we can go ahead and extrude this out as well all the way across the x-axis. There we go. And then we'll just fill in this, F. And then we can go ahead and fill in this as well. Okay, so that was nice and easy. Let's go ahead and add one more loop around the edges there so it's nice and sharp. And we can actually grab this loop and just drag it down. Okay, so now I can unhide everything, Alt-H. And we can grab that dashboard, Control-L, and go ahead and angle that. Hit R to rotate on the x-axis just a bit. And drag that back until that's, and then maybe scale it on the x-axis a bit so it's not coming out the sides of the edge there. I need to come in here and we'll grab this edge right there. Looks like the main culprit, so we'll drag maybe this one as well. Go ahead and drag those in. And then grab this vertex that's still poking out there. Drag that guy in. And maybe this guy too. Oh, right, I forgot that's actually a loop right there. So, which one is the inside? let's Control L to select that whole piece of mesh, the whole dashboard, and we'll select the inverse again, and go ahead and hide that again. I think things got a little twisted around here. Yes, they did. So go ahead and grab that, and that. There we go. Now, make sure we grab both of those when we move them in. There we go. All right. Okay, so now we can Alt-H, unhide that. So now we got our dashboard. Let's go ahead and look at our reference again, just see if we're doing this all right. That's not too bad. Doesn't have that much of an angle to it, actually. Zoom in here, you can see it's almost pretty well flat, so we can kind of modify that back. So let's go ahead and minimize our reference. Come back in here and select, actually Alt-H, deselect everything, or unhide everything. Then we'll select one vertex on there. We'll go ahead and rotate that back to where it's not quite so flat. Then move it back towards the edge, maybe a little more. Okay. Now, if you're building your own car from your own design, you can make it look however you want to. But, you know, if you're building an actual existing car like we're doing here, then it's a good idea to keep an eye on some reference. Like I have that other window exclusively for the the reference pictures. So let's go ahead and take one more peek at it. Looks like we have a little bit of an upraise here where the steering wheel shaft will come up through. So we'll add that, and then see if we can find a little bit bigger version. There we go. Let's see. And everything else looks pretty flat across the bottom. So we'll just add the dials and things like that after we get everything else all situated with the rest of the body work. So all we need to do now is go ahead and add a loop here. We can't really add the upraised part to it just yet. And you know what? I was going to go ahead and add that in there now, but we'll wait till once we get the actual complete body built, everything that's going to be symmetrical. We'll get that, and then we'll apply that mirror modifier. Then we can start working on the asymmetrical stuff. So, okay, so let's look at it again through our perspective view, and it's starting to take shape. So next time in part 5, we'll go ahead and maybe add the windshield and maybe the seats and maybe the tires. We'll see how far we get. And then, like I said, maybe a radiator. But we won't start on the dials and the steering wheel and all that stuff until after we get all that set. So that's going to be it for part 4. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 5.